Hello, everybody. This is John Marola from Keeping It Real, Section 5 Football, and this is our 36th episode. And like I've said, we're just rolling right along. I mean, that's about all I can say about that. Tonight's episode, we are going to talk about the crowning of our 6 classifications in Section 5. And first of all, I got to introduce my partners. On my far right, as you can see, our partner, Coach Burgandy, is down in Florida right now. And we have Coach George Giordano with us tonight. George?
Thanks, Johnny, for having me back. Dave?
Hi, George. What a thrill to have you.
It's always great to see you, my friend, as well.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a great show. Everybody's been talking about it. Section 5 football has been enhanced by your efforts.
Thank you.
Great
Appreciate
job.
it. And the coach in the middle, Section 5 Hall of Fame football and baseball coach from Fairport High School, Dave Landon. Coach.
John, thank you.
Thank you for being here. And like I just said, we're going to review the sectional games that have been crowned this weekend, talk a little bit about that, and then start getting into the state. We're going up against Buffalo next week, or this coming week, excuse me, and just go through that. Coach, you want to start?
Be happy to. Well, the bricks have been handed out.
Yes, they have.
And in the AA category, Aquinas, who was the 3 seed going into the tournament, has won the championship. They defeated Rush Henrietta, the Cinderella team, 48-14. Aquinas jumped out early and just piled it on. They scored in about every way you can imagine. Jeffrey Logan, an 86-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Joshua Campbell, their field goal kicker, knocked in 2 from 32 and 33 yards. Trent Buttles, touchdown pass to Mr. Battle, 36 yards. And Darian Battle himself, a 57-yard touchdown run. So they were hitting on all cylinders.
Yes, they were.
Pretty much dominated the ball game as far as I could see.
I was at that game. Like Coach just said, Aquinas it was 10-0, and then I believe it was 10-7. But Aquinas really didn't look back. I mean, they looked very, very good. And, like we've said this before, they're one of the most healthiest teams around. So going into sectionals this time of year, when you can have your, the kids that you started in the beginning of the year that are now playing week 11, that's something special. So Aquinas is looking very good.
Congratulations to them, but kudos to Rush Henrietta, too, for making a late run this season. A slow start, came on strong, won 2 big games in sectionals over the 1 seed Fairport, then UPrep in the next round.
Yes. Rush Henrietta, I just think that, like I said, Aquinas got at them so quick Friday night that they really, before they looked up, it was, like 10-0. But, yes, for them to go through Fairport and then UPrep, and they're young. I mean, I know they have a lot of kids coming back.
Sophomore quarterback who's outstanding this year.
I know there are a couple other skill kids are sophomores, too. So they're going to be a team to definitely reckon with in the next couple of years around here.
I would say Aquinas goes on to play Lancaster out of Section 6 on Friday at Brockport, 7:30 start. The Lancaster Legends, typically a powerhouse in Section 6. Don't know a whole lot about them. I don't know if you do, John.
No, really, I haven't. I just looked up the Buffalo teams. The A team, from Buffalo's Sweet Home, and when I was at Aquinas, we used to go head-to-head with them a lot. But besides them, I really am not that familiar with any of the Buffalo teams.
I think at the beginning of the year, McQuaid edged Lancaster in the very first game up at Lancaster. It was an overtime game that McQuaid ended up coming out on top. So I'm sure Lancaster put some wins together along the way, and they're now going to represent Section 6.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're traditionally a powerhouse up there, a strong program through the years.
Yes.
Let's move on to Class A. And Brighton continues their win streak. They go to 11-0 with a 28-7 victory over Canandaigua.
Yep.
Pretty good ball game. It's Brighton's first sectional title in the program's history. So congratulations to them. Gavin Parks, our old friend Gavin Parks, who was Player of the Week earlier in the year, has continued his outstanding play. Rushed for 241 yards, 21 carries. Parksy's had quite a year for them. Canandaigua took an early lead. In fact, led at the half. Brighton came back for that victory. Coach Liam's first title there. As I said, 11-0 to this point. Matthew Heiniger, 11 tackles for the Bruins. Caleb Matthews, 12 tackles. And Drew Willamy for Canandaigua, who's had a fine year for them as quarterback. Rushed for 150 yards. Brighton plays Sweet Home out of Section 6, Saturday, 6 o'clock at Brockport.
Yep. And when I was coaching, this was years ago, though, when we were coaching at Aquinas, we always usually run up against Sweet Home in the first round of states. And back then, I'm sure right now, I mean, they're a solid program. They have great numbers, and they just bring athletes at you. So it's definitely going to be a test. I mean, this time of year, everybody's on it. Everybody's good.
Yeah. Brighton's been tested a little bit. They've had a close game in the semis with Monroe. They pulled that one out 22-21, so they're no stranger to a pressure game. But they've been outstanding this year.
This has been obviously Brighton's year. They have 18 seniors on the team. Gavin Park, we're all glad that he's graduating, all the opposing coaches. But they do have an excellent program. Shout out to their linemen, too. We see them every year. They're well coached, and they really do a great job up front for any running back that they've had there. So they're a team to be reckoned with. They can run the ball at this time of year, as you guys know. You need to run the football, especially over the next 2 weeks. If you can get to the Dome, then maybe you can throw it around a little bit. But Gavin Park's going to go a long way in making Brighton statewide.
Now,
run.
you guys played against them, and I believe it was 13-7 they won?
We ended up losing, I believe it was 14-7.
14-7?
Yeah. So
I'll tell you something about Gavin. If you have not seen this young man run, he's something. I mean, all 160 pounds of him, or 65 pounds. I mean, he runs, like they say, play like your next play is your last play. And I think that's exactly how he plays.
Yeah.
Like, his next play might be the last play that he ever plays.
Yeah, he's not afraid to take it up inside, and yet he's got pretty good speed, too, if he gets to the edge. So he's a versatile player.
Yep. He got around the corner he ran like an 82-yarder the other night down the Brighton sideline in the fourth quarter. Basically, the game going into the fourth quarter was 7-7. And I got a story that I talked to both of the coaches about. When I got there, I went over on the Canandaigua sideline because I know some people went over there, got a tap on my back, and it was Carrie Jo Neiman. And I haven't seen her since the celebration we had for Dave. And basically, we sat on the bench and talked about Dave's memory. And I said to her, this couldn't be any perfect because we're watching a football game. We're on the sideline watching a football game and talking about Dave and everything. It was just, it was very, very special to me. And, she's doing as best she can do right now. She's really a strong lady.
Well, fitting that Canandaigua was in the finals.
Yes.
For Dave's memory.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Class A, we at Irondequoit are in that class, and you've said it many times. That class was top to bottom. I mean, extremely competitive. Like a Monroe just losing by a point to Canandaigua. I'm sorry, to Brighton, East High getting knocked out by Brockport. East High the week before beat Canandaigua. So there was probably 5 or 7 teams in that class that could have very easily been representing Section 5 and doing a really good job.
Yes, with A and Double A. Both of, I mean,
Correct.
here you got Rush Henrietta, an 8 seed in Double A. You know, they take care of Fairport, the number 1 seed.
Right.
And then they come back, you know, with UPrep. So,
UPrep, McQuaid, Fairport, obviously Aquinas getting through that, you know, gauntlet. Both classes, both Double A and A this year, were well represented in very competitive classes.
Yes.
Which takes us to the B class, where we thought maybe Batavia was going to have their way going into it. So if there was an upset game in the finals, this may have been it. Eastridge, the Lancers, a victory over Batavia 28-14 to take the brick. It's their first title since 2013. And to me, it's an interesting story because they were 0-8 last year.
Oh, yes, I heard that.
0-8 last year, and Coach Victor Davidson, his first year at the helm at Eastridge, brings them home a champion. So congratulations to that whole program. Batavia had come in undefeated, and not a lot of close games for that matter. So Eastridge put it together, and just came away with a win. Now, Coach G, you played them earlier in the year.
We did. I want to congratulate Eastridge for continued improvement throughout the year. We did see them play after we played them, and it just seemed like every week we were getting more and more information about them getting better. You know, they beat HFL twice, which is not an easy task by any means, but what a surprise. And one thing about Eastridge is this is the third head coach they've had in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, their coaching staff is switched around a little bit, but Victor came in with a plan, stuck with it, and again, congratulations to them as they move forward into the States. And we go all the way back. Again, Aquinas and Eastridge are both carrying the banner for the West Side football camp.
Yes,
so
I was just going to mention
that. 2 champs
that.
out of camp.
Yes.
And that's the normal. It's become very consistent year in and year out with that preseason camp is really giving some teams a little head
And it's
start.
getting tough to get into the West Side camp now.
Well, you got to know somebody to get in, and
the guy in the far right over here would be the one.
No, we're very, very proud of the way the things went for Eastridge and for Aquinas coming out of camp. I knew that both those teams would be ready to go at the end of the year.
Yes, and they sure were.
Yeah. Congratulations to Batavia on a fine year.
Yes.
They finish at 10-1, which is certainly outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Eastridge will play Saturday at 3 p.m. against a team out of the Buffalo area, Health Science BASC.
That's the team I tried to pronounce last week.
And I'm not sure what all that means, but
they're charter.
They're a charter school, and they're coming away with their sectional championship.
Mm-hmm. That should be – all these games are going to be just, like I said before, if you enjoy watching high school football, I mean, you're not going to get better football around here than this that's going on right now. And all the games this week are at Brockport State. So it's not like you got to drive to Buffalo or drive to Syracuse or whatever. So if you enjoy football, this is the time to go.
Well, on to the Class C's, where East Rochester Gananda has come away with a championship, beating Leroy Calmum 26-13. ER's been on a tear since early in the year. They lost either their first or second game of the year, and I don't recall which, but they're now 10-1. Ben Newman, a former Player of the Week here on Keeping It Real,
Two-time
Player of the Week. Thank you. 18 for 20. Not a bad night. 90% throwing the ball, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had a rushing touchdown. And his partner on the offense, Catterell Sneed,
that's it.
Rushed for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns as well, and caught 5 balls for 96 yards. ER took the early lead in that one and hung on against a game Leroy Calmum team. So ER goes on to play Salamanca Saturday at 12.
Okay. Brockport State.
Yeah.
East Rochester, home of champions.
Home of champions.
I know Dave was obviously a superstar there.
Well,
during
thank
his
you, Coach.
days.
Superstar.
We can't really, there's no real videotape. I don't even know
Was
if
that
that was
beta?
around back then.
We had an artist who would paint pictures.
Was it 16 millimeter?
16
There is
millimeter.
rumor that you did play football and basketball and baseball.
Mm-hmm.
We're not really sure if that could be
verified.
Well, I can show you the clippings if you'd like.
No, I'm okay with that.
They're in my trunk.
Those were the days.
I might have them.
Outstanding.
Yeah, played for Coach Quinn.
Yes.
Who was a guest on the show as well.
And
yes.
I saw Coach Veterans Day over at East Rochester at the Veterans Day ceremony, so he's doing well and still representing.
Great.
The coach under the D's.
Yes, sir.
Avon, 11-0 now, as they pulled out a win over Alexander, 28-8. Alexander lost 2 games this year, finished 9-2, both losses to Avon. So a pretty tough division. Avon, great offensive line play throughout the year for them. They've got a double-edged sword at as far as rushing the ball. Wes Farley, we've heard his name all through the year. 26 rushes for 198, 2 touchdowns. And Cal Dolgus, who's their quarterback but is a threat to run the football, 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's Avon's 8th title and the 6th for Coach Andy Englert.
Wow.
So he's done well out there. Now, Avon at this point is ranked 2nd in New York State in the Class Ds. And to make this interesting, they will play the number 1 ranked team out of Buffalo, Clymer, Sherman, Panama, at 5 o'clock Friday, Brighton. So the 1 and the 2 top-ranked teams in New York State will battle in this regional game. Avon, they can hurt you a couple of ways, and they've played tough defense all year. They only gave up 3 points in the sectional tournament.
Wow.
In 3 games. So that might be an interesting ball game.
Against 3 quality opponents.
Yeah. It might be a good one to go see that one. Friday night at Brockport.
You got to think that the being held in Brighton, Avon is maybe a half hour from Brighton?
Yeah.
Which you just talked about having a home field advantage. You know, I'm not sure where the other school's coming from, but they got to get on a bus. They've got to get here. They
somewhere in
I
Buffalo.
mean, now, this is almost a home game for Avon, and let's say that's going to be a little bit of enough of an edge to knock off the number 1 team in the state.
Yeah, and I don't think weather is going to be a factor for this club. Avon likes to run the football.
And I looked up the weather for Friday and Saturday already. It's cloudy, 48 chance of rain. I didn't see what the chance of rain is, but I know there's a chance. They say chance of rain both days. So, I mean, that's what we're looking at in Rochester, New York these days. So
at this point, rain, snow, sleet, wind. I don't think it matters. These guys want to play now.
Yeah.
They want to get after it, and let's hope for the best though for weather-wise. In the 8-man, Pembroke continues their undefeated ways. They go to 10-0. They're currently ranked number 1 in the state in 8-man football, and they beat Holly 52-16. Caleb Farley, 5 touchdowns for Pembroke. Pembroke's a lot of fun to watch. 8-man football.
I watched the highlights
wide open.
of him. Yeah.
He had 5 rushing touchdowns of 29 yards, 65 yards, 31 yards, 39 yards, and 44 yards. So he rushed for over 200 yards total in the ball game. And Pembroke jumped out 36-0 at the half.
Wow.
Coasted in from there. They play a team out of Buffalo, the Buffalo area, Frewsburg, 12 o'clock Saturday. Now, that game, I think, is at Sutherland, so that's the only one not at Brockport.
Yep.
So 12 o'clock Saturday for the 8-man game at Sutherland. Again, Pembroke's a lot of fun to watch. They've won 34 straight games now.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be an interesting one.
I think they're 3-time sectional champs.
I believe you're right. I think they won the states last year.
Yes, they did.
So, that's an interesting program right there.
Wow.
One other game, just quickly. This was for the Independent League Championship game, and two teams that met earlier in the season. Can't read my own writing here. Pelmac was defeated.
Yes.
By Penyan Dundee.
Yes.
Score 50-42 in a wide open ball game. 50-42 was 30-24 at the half. Braden Finger 4 touchdowns for Penyan Dundee. They finished their season 10-0 and champs of the Independent League.
Good for them. Congratulations. And I know our guy Mason from Right. He had, because I seen the highlights of that one, he had, I want to say like $170 with 2 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah, he's been a stud all year.
He's a horse.
Those guys.
I'd like to congratulate Scott Barker and his committee for running another great Section 5 tournament, a number of different sites, and in order to cover, those 6 different classifications is a big job. And we know Dick Cerrone, who was a guest on the show, did it for years. Scott took over and retired recently from Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And what a great job his committee did in getting the tournament run, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes, as both of you know, to run that as a smooth operation. And now all of a sudden they got to host the regionals. So back to the drawing board here and the work.
Back to work.
In. Yeah.
I like
much time to rest.
I like to say thank you to Scott, because when I came into the game Friday night, watched Aquinas and Rush, I ran into him, went over and we talked for a little bit, and the first thing he said is, "I love your show," and I was tickled pink, because you get compliments from people like that. It really means a lot. Means a lot to us running this, and I just want to say congratulations again to Scott and the Section 5 staff for putting on a really great show, and like we said, it's all about the kids.
It is, and I'd like to extend a thank you to all the Section 5 coaches who have helped us out by submitting players' names for Player of the Week and helping us out, and again supporting what we do here.
Yes, there's some coaches that and they started sending in Player of the Weeks, and they're just sending in all their stats. And I started looking at them, I was like, you know what, that's great, because they're trying to get kids recognized. Even if the kid had like 80 yards or whatever, or the quarterback threw for like maybe 110 yards, he always, these guys always got their kids in it, and that's what we're here for, and it shows a lot about those coaches.
Yeah, it's great to recognize the players. I'd like to see, as we move forward, if we could get more mention for some of the O linemen, D linemen, and the jobs they do in the trenches. I know, Coach, you're a big fan of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have an offensive line this time of year when the snow starts to fly and you want to put the run game together or stop the run, you've got to have those hogs up front that are doing the job. But as you guys talk about recognition, we all know that you guys have done a great job. I know the channels, the TV news stations have a Player of the Week, and maybe Ralph Honda. There's a bunch of Players of the Week. But the big list that's coming out soon is the All Greater Rochester football list. And that's obviously done through James Johnson, his staff at the Democrat and Chronicle. I want to say it's been at least 50 years since they put that list together.
Yes.
Maybe early 70s,
I would say,
somewhere in there. And, as we move forward, as this show moves forward into the latter part of this season, obviously you're going to have to start talking about who those players are. And what they did, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, was they divided into a small school and a large school division. And I think some of the names of the kids that you've recognized here are going to be right up there at the top of the list of Players of the Year.
Yes, I would say.
Just the numbers, the sheer numbers. You never heard of these 200 yards rushing. 100 yards rushing was always like the benchmark.
Yes.
Throwing for, 150 or, scoring 2 touchdowns as opposed to 1. Now 5.
We had a back-to-back week with Ben. He was our Player of the Week. He threw for 300 yards both weeks.
Yeah. In high school with a 12-minute quarter, you can't compare that to a college game where there's 15-minute quarters or a pro game. And it's just the sheer numbers. I'm not sure if it's the offense is getting that much better or the defense. They're just saying, you know what, we're going to outscore you. Yeah. There's nights when you look at games and it's whatever that game was, 42,
well, sure. The
38.
game obviously has evolved a little bit, a lot more spread offenses and hurry-up offenses where teams are getting and going.
Yeah.
No huddles. Hardly anybody huddles anymore.
Yep. It's all wide open. It's wide open. Throw the bubble.
Sure.
The first time really quick, first time I ever watched, I was down in Florida maybe 8 years ago. I was watching Cocoa, and they're a national team down in Cocoa Beach. And I can't say Cocoa Beach when you talk about Cocoa. because you'll get in a lot of trouble down there. Just want to let you guys know if you ever go down there. So, anyways, I was down there. We were watching them play, and they threw that bubble 24 times in one game. So after the game, of course, me, never knowing, I went over and talked to the head coach. I said, Coach, my name is John Morello, Freshman, New York, Coach. I said, I counted 24 times you guys threw that bubble pass. He goes, yep, Coach, we threw it 24 times, and we had 4 touchdowns off of that. So what does that equal? Yeah. I said that equals a W.
Yeah, that's like the old dive play.
Yeah.
It's just, boom, get it and go. Years ago, we threw the ball at Fairport 20, 25 times a game, and people thought that was, a lot for the time, but teams are letting it fly 40 times now. Yeah. One other point I want to make: we've got the Eddie Meath game coming up too.
Yes.
Soon, and we'll need to shout
that's
out some
always,
of those guys.
Senior All-Star game again. Dick Cerrone put that together as a labor of love. We used to have it in the summer, and then I think more and more of the kids wanted to get ready for college ball, so they moved it to the November date, which is coming up here over the next week, and that's a senior game. So, obviously the juniors and sophomores would have to be, spectators at that one. But we got some great seniors that are running around here.
Oh, it's fun. It's a fun game, having coached in it. I know you've coached in it.
I've coached in
it. And, as I tell guys that I see around it, these are the guys you thought, were your mortal enemies.
Yep.
And now you're going to go out and practice together. And you're going to find out everybody's in it together. And,
yes.
It's a good time. It's a lot of fun. I'm not sure what the site is.
I do know that they've played some of the games at the University of Rochester.
Yes.
And I have not heard much about the game. I was hoping that there'd be more pub on the on the game
if
itself.
I run into Scott Friday night again, I'll definitely ask him if he knows what's going on with that.
And the one thing about that game that is, the number one piece is that all proceeds from that game go to the Eddie Meath Fund at the Golisano Children's Hospital. Just a wonderful opportunity to give back to the community.
I have a couple quick little things here, and we were talking about this earlier. I was going through Max Prep, and I ran into there's a young man. His name's Adam Nuns. He's from South Park, Buffalo.
Yep.
He played a game a couple weeks ago, and he just set the. Wow,
the pizza guy's here.
That's a call.
Johnny, run up there. That's a call.
That's Paul Burgandy.
Well,
maybe we better answer that one.
I got to go all the way over there and get it.
I think so.
I don't think that's
hey, let me do it. Let me get up, John.
I
know it's hold on. Let me go see.
No, just leave
if it's not him, I'll.
It's taping. Just leave it. It'll go off right now.
Hello, everybody. I'm back.
See, there we go.
And that's
all right. Back to Adam Nuns from South Park. We were talking about earlier. He set the New York State single-game rushing record, and it took you guys a couple times to guess it. But he had 5 touchdowns, which is a decent night. He had 593 yards rushing.
Stop it.
Wonder how many touches he had.
First thing I want to know is what the score of the game was. Because if the score of the game was lopsided...
58-28.
Okay. If you score 58 points, Dave, you've been in that situation.
Yeah, we used to average 58, but...
No, I mean when you were a player.
Oh, yeah. If that last touchdown made it 58...
I
don't know, because...
I don't want to be in the handshake line.
On Huddle, they showed all his 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And, he had some really long
I'm sure he's an outstanding player. South Park got beat in the finals in Section 6 by... Health Science BASC.
The team that's playing
last week. They're playing Eastridge.
I always said maybe it would have been better to save a few of those touchdowns from the week before and use them during the finals.
How do you save touchdowns?
Because obviously it's a situation where, in my estimation, anybody that rushes for almost 600 yards, you're playing against an outmatched team. Bottom line is you're playing against somebody that you're going to beat, whether it's this young man running for the 600, or the second, or the third, or the fourth string tailback. So statistics, as far as I'm concerned, could be, they are what they are. And if they went into that game thinking that this young man was going to break the New York State record, and as the yards started to accumulate, someone was in the coach's ear, he's 100 yards away, he's 50 yards away, shame on them as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I agree with you.
I mean,
you're not in favor of that, huh?
No.
Coach?
What do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, here's a chance for this kid to maybe get national recognition in your program. I always thought the other team, it was their responsibility to prepare as the best they could.
I never worried about the other team. When we were playing, I always worried about our kids.
Okay.
I was a person, I want to get our kids in the game. And, they practice too. Our kids practice too. When we had the ball on offense, I was telling Dave and Mark Maglioka when I was at Aquinas, throw the ball. Don't throw for a home run. Throw a hitch. Throw it out. These kids, they practice too. Let them get a little piece of it. Now, if he catches the ball and breaks a tackle and runs it for it, there's not a lot we can do about that. You know what I'm saying? So, just seeing teams run dive, off tackle, dive. I mean,
it's almost an embarrassment to the other team if you do that. That you're not trying.
I guess what we need to do is take a look at that game, what the score was.
Certainly.
I'll review it.
What the the situation was. If he scored 4 touchdowns in the first half and the score was 28-28, now we've got a ball game.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm okay with.
I'd
whatever.
have to look at huddle the whole.
Right, but if it was 58-0 and he did score the last touchdown based on that, and now
I get it.
There's a lot to be said for statistics and records.
Yes, I get it. I mean, I do know a couple coaches who will be nameless that I've seen. How about this? Taking a knee on the opposing team in the third quarter.
Yeah, that's
what's that do to it?
Well, what I believe is what you said. Your 2s, your 3s, they end up starting to get the reps because guess what? They've practiced, and they've got 2 parents sitting in the bleachers waiting for their time, and that's their time.
Mm-hmm.
And taking a knee is obviously a little bit of a showman, I think, at that point,
Yeah, it's like I have pity on you.
Right.
Our kids practice, your kids practice. I mean, I'm not going to throw for home runs. I'm not going to run a toss pass or a reverse pass, or we're just going to play football. And just let it kind of happen how it happens. You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of crazy. In Section 5 coaches, it seems to be a fraternity. Mm-hmm. I believe that most of us in Section 5 get along with one another. I do know that in talking with colleagues in other states where it is not like that.
No.
If you can hang 60 on somebody, you hang 60 on somebody just because of whatever, whether it's recruiting, whether it's you did it to me 20 years ago, or some kind of grudge. You don't see that too much in Section 5.
No.
I mean, and when you do, it's by accident.
If you want to see it, come take a ride with me next year when I go down and watch Massillon and McKinley. I mean, they were thrown in the fourth quarter, trying to score. They didn't even have all their kids play. I mean, Massillon, and they won by a couple touchdowns. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just you cannot score enough, and that's how it's a bitter rivalry.
There's a certain arrogance involved there, and a little bit of look at me, I'm the coach kind of thing that I'm not a big fan of.
Not in the least. And let's go to the final thing. What if that kid gets hurt? Did he get hurt?
Yeah.
Because obviously they lost in the finals. So did he play in the final? There's a lot of story there.
Yes.
And God forbid you lose a kid in a game where the game is won, and now you lose your kid, and now what did the critics say?
Now what?
What's the athletic director say on Monday morning?
Well, the head football coach out there is the athletic director.
Sure.
So that's good. The one thing I had about that was how bitter of a rivalry it is, and I love it. I they don't like each other. They don't look at each other. They don't talk to each other. I'm talking about Massillon McKinley people. They hate each other. Paul and I were at the Football Hall of Fame a couple years ago. Went up to the counter to cash out, and I had a Massillon hoodie football shirt on. And the lady looked at me and said, "Oh, you're from Massillon?" And I said, "Well, actually, I'm from Rochester, New York. We're here visiting some friends from Massillon." And she goes, "We don't like you." And she turned around and walked away. She was the lady that was cashing us out in the Football Hall of Fame. So Paul and I are just like looking at each other like, wow, this is intense, you know? And then some other lady came over and she goes, "I can wait on you." She goes, "I'm not from McKinley." Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you want to see a real true, like, McCoys, that's the one right there.
I think rivalries are a good thing.
Yeah, I do too.
Intense ones where during the week, during the year, and then afterwards, for a few minutes, you were just in the trenches. I mean, years ago, we didn't like Greece Olympia at all at Fairport.
What?
That was always a
highlight
on our schedule.
When the old coach was there.
The old guy? Who was that?
You can get into all kinds of... Oh, boy.
We don't want to go into that.
Well, I have one other thing that we skipped, and I want to go back to it real quick. When I said I was talking to Carrie Joe the other day at the game, and this goes out, I know all of Dave Neiman's, all his, old buddies know this. Carrie Joe told me, she goes, she's a teacher at Canandaigua, and she says, "How about this one?" She goes, "I walked into my classroom the other morning. There was a snake in the classroom in the corner." I go, "Well, if that's not Dave, I don't know who is." Because I don't know if even, do you know that?
Yes.
His nickname
was the Snake.
Was Snake.
Yeah.
In high school and college.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
His nickname was Snake. And I said, if that's not a sign, I mean, I'm not huge into that stuff, but I'll tell you one thing. You're in a classroom, she goes, "The first thing I did is checked all the windows. The windows were all closed." So, I don't know. So, that one just got me really going. But, God bless them. We love them. I got a couple other things. Coach Lanning is going to be so happy with me.
The checks are in?
I'll take that as a no.
Absolutely. We're getting paid for this.
We have turned a profit, I know.
Yes, we have. What are you looking at me like that for? Anyways, we'll get back to that. I have a couple things, and then are you all set?
What's going to make me happy? I want to know.
What's going to make you happy?
Well,
I was going to do that second, but I'll do it now.
All right.
Okay, I got to go through our subscribes. Please, if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. We picked up TikTok.
Nice.
As a sponsor?
No.
Oh, I thought they were going to...
As a platform, as the kids would call it.
I'm quite a TikTok guy.
He's a TikTok
Elon
guy.
Musk was going to send some money over.
He's a TikTok kind of guy. So we are on YouTube.
Okay.
We're on Facebook, X, Instagram, and we just thanked my niece, Brooklyn, for getting me on TikTok. And it's really in the early stages, but I'll get it going more and more. That's just another way that people want to, get in touch with our station, our channel, and follow us. Please follow us and hit the likes. And if you have any comments, please comment. And I think that's... Oh, I got one more.
Let it rip, John.
All right.
You're the boss.
This show is coming out Thursday at 5 p.m. Okay? What I'd like people to do is I'll take the 8th caller on the quiz question that I both quizzed you earlier on. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Which neither one of us had a shot at.
No, I think I got it.
Well, you got it now, but you didn't.
No, I got it then.
You didn't.
We had about 10 clues.
Yeah, I gave you.
I didn't know there was a limit. Sorry.
Oh, my God, I gave you so many clues.
Wait.
What's wrong?
My
Talk
bad.
about arrogance.
My bad. My bad. That's an East Side thing. My bad. All right. Here's the question. And you know what? Like anything else, you can go on, you can Google it and probably look it up on Google. But I'll take the 8th caller with the correct answer. Name the last Monroe County team, AA, that won sectionals. I need the team, the name of the team, and the year. And the 8th person that calls in, just give me your shirt size, and I will have a shirt made up. I'll bring it up to Premier Sports, and you can pick it up at Premier Sports.
Excellent.
So I think Joe Muno has, and again, I'd like to say thanks again to Joe for all his help. You can pick up the shirt up at Premier Sports, and I think he might have a gift certificate or two up there for him, too. So a little something for people to, watch the show and
promote the show.
Yes, please. Just tell people about the show, and a little bit what we were talking about earlier is I'm not really sure what to do when the season. We're gonna go as far as the Section 5 teams go. Mm-hmm. So as long as there's one team, at least one team playing in states, we're gonna follow that team. When this is over, I may take off 2 or 3 weeks.
I think that's called a hiatus, John, in the
no, it's just
podcasts.
No, you know what I want to do? Oh, the other thing is, I got a lot of other things, don't I?
Yes, you do.
This is all good stuff, though. The other thing I have is this past couple days, I've been taking out the old pictures of the 2023 sectional winners, McQuaid and AA.
Okay.
All the teams that won sectionals last year, and I've already replaced them with this year's teams.
Outstanding work.
So I'm trying to keep it moving, and at the end of that, I also have, say like the Aquinas game, the Aquinas RH game, I have Aquinas' pitcher, team pitcher, and then after that I have the player of the game, offensive lineman, defensive lineman, and that, with each classification.
Fantastic.
And the 8-man, too, is involved in that, too. So I am moving pitchers around, and if anybody's got pictures or anything, please send them in. J Marola 4747 at gmail.com.
Outstanding.
How am I doing so far?
Great.
Coach, G, anything?
That was a lot of information, Dave. It was very impressive. Your notepad over here. And
George, I can't tell you what a thrill it was to have you on board tonight.
Great. Thank you for having me, guys.
I'd like to extend best wishes to all the Section 5 teams as they go into the regionals. And just in closing for me, Coach Brigandy, this one's for you. Not here tonight, but in spirit.
What's here?
Daddy-O, I hope you're having a great time. We'll see you when you get back, because the shirt that John gave me tonight is just a little too big.
No, it's not. It's the same shirt I've always given you. You haven't shaved lately, have you?
All right, everybody.
We got to say the 1, 2, 3 first. Come on.
Okay, 1, 2,
Come on.
3.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Keeping it real.
Keeping it real. Section 5.
Well, I wanted to do some bloopers, so I guess this is a perfect spot for it. You ready to do it the real way?
Sure. Okay, here we go.
1, 2, 3. Keeping it real. Section 5 football. Good night, everybody. Have a great night.
Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. When the morning comes and we see what we've become, in the cold light of day, we're a flame in the wind, not the fire that we begun. Every argument, every word we can't take back, 'cause with all that has happened, I think that we both know the way that the story ends. Then only for a minute I want to change my mind, 'cause this just don't feel right to me. I wanna raise your spirits, I want to see you smile, but no, that means I'll have to leave. No, that means I'll have to leave. Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. When the evening falls And I'm left there with my thoughts and the image of you being with someone else. Well, it's eating me up inside. But we ran our course, we pretended we're okay. Now if we jump together, at least we can swim far away from the wreck we made. Then only for a minute I want to change my mind, 'cause this just don't feel right to me. I wanna raise your spirits, I want to see you smile, but no, that means I'll have to leave. No, that means I'll have to leave. Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier, I want you to be happier. So I'll go, I will go. So I'll go, I will go. Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier, I want you to be happier. Even though I might not like this, I think that you'll be happier, I want you to be happier. Then only for a minute I want to change my mind, 'cause this just don't feel right to me. I wanna raise your spirits, I want to see you smile, no, that means I'll have to leave. No, that means I'll have to leave. Lately, I've been